Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here with a classic psionic helmet that goes back at least 30 years. This was one of our first psionic helmet designs, mostly engineered by myself, but this was when we were basing a lot of our initial radionics, which are used in a metaphysical way, on the designs of Charles Casamado, who we published his books, built instruments and tools kind of similar to what were in the books. But we highly modified them based on my engineering and proper use. So the helmets, of course, were kind of fun, and everybody used to kind of laugh at them because they're a little bit, I don't know if they're goofy looking or not. I think they're kind of cool looking. They were placed in, and of course, 30 years ago, it wasn't as easy to get so many different types of helmets that you can get today. So we tried to find cool looking bike helmets. And the other thing is that what kind of helmets did they have? Well, a lot of people would use motorcycle helmets, which are very hot and very heavy. Why would you do that? So the alternative to make something that you could use comfortably and sit would be the fact of using some sort of bike helmet. And bike helmets, you may or may not like them. That's up to you. Of course, they have extreme sport helmets now and a lot of other cool stuff you can get that you couldn't get back then. Now, this was our base model that only had one power rod and only had one dial in the back, 0 to 10. It had two jacks on it, one on each side. And this you could pretty much plug anything into the helmet, and the modular concept is something that I pioneered and a strong believer in even today. I mean, you should be able to hook up as many different things as you can to any of your devices. So why not feed something into it? Okay? So, and of course, we had the rods, and some rods were interchangeable. You could put different crystals in them. But the whole idea is when you make a rod like this, it condenses in cosmic and psychic energy, and of course, amplifies whatever is coming to you, the crystal does. This then is fed into the helmet for you to pick up, or vice versa. You can condense energy into the rod and into the crystal, and then send it to a particular target. So that was the base on it, and of course, this was one of our first designs. We have some very advanced helmets. I mean, after all, you've got all those electro energies that your mind emits. Why not tap into those? You've got the third eye, you got the temporal lobes, you got the crown chakra. All of these things, of course, are in the head. Why not wear something to tap into those energies at a high level, particularly crown chakra energies? Now, we modified all this in the tubes and everything else. As I said, this is, other than the very base design of it, this has basically been engineered by me. And we'll go into to show you that, but the basic concepts were there. And of course, Casamado never had any original ideas, no, absolutely nothing. His designs came from someone else. That there was a book called ESP Tools You Can Make or whatever. This is basically what's sat in your head. Now, we're going to redo this, but we haven't had a chance to completely redo this, so this is kind of an old, primitive model that someone got us from 30 years ago. That would sit on your head. I mean, basically, this sat on your head. This would be touching your hair, so to speak. So you have that connected to the copper of that. Would have been actually this here. And on the other side would have been connected over here where you'll see the... put this down for a minute, to this spiral. And then again, that goes in here. So what you're doing is drawing energy in or out. You can draw energy in through the crystal, or you can send energy, which will go down into the spiral, go into that, and then go into your top of your head, the crown chakra, or vice versa, you send energy out. And that's the basic design of it and how it works. Now, that was the original design, and it's very primitive. We eventually made a model that had 3 of these on top. Which was very exciting. And of course, this is very advanced technology. And, once you start using and connecting into more physical brain energies, this really generates a huge amount of particular energy. Now, people are still copying these today. as they usually do with everybody, but they really have no idea what they're doing. Now, that was a typical primitive helmet design to start off with, and you certainly don't need to design a helmet entirely, meaning you mold something and so forth. Use what's commonly available. That's what you do. It's called repurposing. Repurposing is the way you keep your production costs down instead of having molds made and other things. Not only that, well, people may not like the way these look on your head. They are very comfortable and they are super light. You don't want to put a heavy thing on your head. As I said, I saw some moron use a motorcycle helmet, which couldn't be heavier and hotter. Imagine sitting in that in a room somewhere. It's just ridiculous. So what you have to do is make things that are very light. The other thing a lot of people do is they use construction helmets. Of course, these tend to be lighter in plastic, but talk about the epitome of boring and stupid. This, of course, is something that is, again, done today occasionally. You see online by people that have copied it. But, this is the original design. We also had advanced models that only had 3 tubes. And you could fill tubes in. You could change the actual crystals and fronts on the advanced models. You had 3 dials. So you could 3 different dials. So you basically were putting a 3-dial radionic machine on your head. So you could think how powerful that could potentially be. The problem is you got to get accustomed to wearing something and wearing something like this. But this was not made to wear outside. It's a tool. I think it's kind of cool. I mean, why wouldn't you want to wear something like this? People are wearing all these goofy things and carrying cameras and bottles of water with them everywhere. Well, why not go to the next level and start wearing a mind machine that projects energy out? Now, we're doing this in another fashion by people wearing clothing and other things now, which will be coming out soon, where you turn yourself into kind of a walking radionic machine. And, of course, a little less out there than this. Of course, this obviously, if you wear this, makes a great statement. I'm not sure that's bad. I mean, with all the weird, kinky stuff out there, why not get involved in something that really is a tool for you and could serve as another purpose? I mean, you could use this as a bike helmet in general. It is, and it was an expensive bike helmet for that time. So these are Bell helmets. They're well made. They're put together, the same helmet makers that makes it for motorcycles and so many other things. And of course, they make a whole line of bike helmets. And this had kind of a nice, cool, metallic-y green design on it. And as I said, it's very, very, very light. So another high-tech thing, but you could plug this into any other radionic machine because everything is modular. Use it to meditate in, draw energies to you, activate your chakras, use it during rituals to project out greater energies. I mean, these are all the fascinating and empowerment. And as I said, this was 30 years ago. So we have much more powerful designs. But, the concept is still there. And, of course, it had a very simplistic circuit. At that time, we were just starting off my research in radionics 30 years ago, so I didn't know too much about it, and of course, nobody else did. So you had to go by what was out there, and certainly is cool. I mean, primitive, non-electric radionics does work. It's just not as powerful. And I think as the years go by, life gets more complicated and is highly clogged with so many energies that you must have electric to blow through everything. So just using your psychic power slows things down, even though it does work. Hope you enjoyed this. More to come.